Hey, this is Josephine, editor-in-chief of Graphite Literary Magazine, and today we're looking at Writer Spotlight for Dynali Weerackoon. Okay, so what got you into writing?
I've been writing for a long time because I was a really big reader as a little kid, and I think if you read enough, it kind of gets you curious about like how that works out. So you don't need to be like really good at it, but I just kind of started doing it for fun.
Yeah, what age did you start getting more interested?
Oh my gosh, I think I must have been like 10, no, earlier. I think I've been writing pretty much as long as I can read. Like, I'm not saying it's high quality stuff over here, but definitely, like, I love putting together, like, little, like, copy paper, storybooks and stuff with the little drawings and, like, stapling them, handing them out to my family and stuff like that.
Okay, so like in the beginning, what did your stories look like?
They were very, very dramatic. I know that for sure. I love drama. I love, exciting things happening. They were never like, I don't know if normal stories are the right word. They were just like, always something wild happening, just something dramatic. That was the literal only thing that connected all of them together.
Yeah, do you remember like the first story you ever wrote?
I'm gonna be honest, I think I read King Arthur, like one of his stories when I was like 10 years old. And the first like really long story I wrote was basically like I copy pasted all of the characters and pretended that I made them up. So it was like King Arthur fanfic in the year, I don't even know, that must have been like 2016 or something like that.
Wow, okay. So, describe the first moment you realized you loved writing.
Again, I've been reading for a while, so I think as soon as I kind of figured out that I like reading, doing it myself has always been really fun, and it's a lot more challenging as well, because writing is definitely not like my strong point creatively. Like, it's a lot harder for me than like drawing and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, I lost track of the question. I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Describe the first moment you loved writing.
Oh yeah, definitely like kind of starting my first long form content and stuff like that and understanding what it's like to develop a story kind of as a whole instead of like, just a couple of pages long, something that's really like extended and has plot and characters in it, like really a lot of details and things like that.
Was there like one story that really made you be like, oh wow, like I really like this thing?
Definitely that King Arthur fanfic. That was important to me for like a really extended period of time, honestly.
Okay. What inspires you as a writer?
Just the things I see in daily life, the kind of like I love making notes of really specific environments that I'm put into, whether that's smell, sight, sound, stuff like that. I'm always like noting down little details and things, asking myself, how would I phrase this if I wanted it to come off in a certain way? And I think eventually, if you collect enough of those details, it does kind of become a story, or you can put it into a story of itself.
Yeah. Do you just like go around putting stuff in like your notes app?
Honestly, a lot of it just exists in the back of my head, and then when I'm writing, I just kind of have to pray and hope that the right detail comes out. But like, it's more of like practicing how to notice those things, because then when I do start a story, because that's like a big part of my process is just kind of like having it in the forefront of my mind. It's easier for me to kind of notice things or take those things into account when I've been practicing doing it for a while.
Yeah. Who has played an important role in your writing journey?
Oh my gosh. Definitely all of the writers that I used to read as kids, which I hate to say that like Warrior Cats and Lord of the Rings in the same sentence. That's embarrassing. But those were like, those were some of my favorite books. So definitely, those writers particularly.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever like any teacher or mentor in your own personal life?
Oh, absolutely. I think all of my English teachers have been just super kind to me about stuff that I've brought into class, stuff that I've asked them, just questions on itself. I mean, I feel like everybody knows Miss Rose, Miss Lang, all of those people. They've just been super inspiring to me personally.
Yeah. How did they encourage this writer in you?
I think definitely by encouraging me to be critical of my own writing and how, offering advice, because sometimes it's hard to get lost in your own head when it comes to writing, just because, I mean, it's literally a product that you're creating. So it's so, so, so helpful to have someone else look at that and go, I like your idea, but, if you change this, it could come off a different way. Or, if you just improve something else or do it a little differently, it could be better.
Yeah. Speaking of like the editing process, when you write, what's the end goal you have in mind? Like, is it to write a book, or is it just like here, like all my thoughts on paper?
A lot of that second option, just because I'm terrible at writing long form content. Like, I love doing it. I love pretending that I can do it. And, hopefully one day I would love to actually put something together. But right now, writing is very much just kind of my hobby that I pick up whenever I feel like it, and not something that I put like diligent practice into. So yeah, definitely like it's very stream of consciousness. A lot of my writing process, I'll like write something out in my head first and then put it onto paper, because sometimes I feel like I'm very scared of that blank page.
Yeah.
So it helps to have that kind of starting point.
Yeah, so you've won a lot of our FSPA, all Floridas, for short story and illustration. What do you think sets your writing apart?
I think that like as a writer, I tend to do a lot of like nonfiction stuff, especially in my English classes. That tends to be kind of my specialty. So I like have a really good understanding of form and I think technique. So I tend to be a very formal writer, and that's something I struggle with. So when it comes to writing short stories, because they have to be so to the point and so like packed, because they're like, obviously you don't have 500 pages to develop a character or to develop a setting. I kind of like, I love the challenge of, having that deadline and having to do all of those things under a timed environment. And it like gives me a chance to practice some of those things that I don't really get to see in the classroom, but like still using those same techniques.
Mm-hmm. How do you see writing, what role do you see it playing in your future?
I mean, I'm pursuing a degree in technical English, so again, with that really formal rhetorical English, that's like the core of my writing. But, I love writing creatively. I'm not the best at doing it consistently, but I would love to, continue to pursue it as a hobby.
Yeah, that's cool. Why do you like writing?
Oh man, I think again, it just challenges me, because a lot of times like I struggle to put things into words. Like I can talk a lot, but there's not necessarily substance to what I'm saying. And with writing, one of the really fun things about it is that like, putting those words onto paper, you can't just keep going and going and going. You have to like, make it concise, get to the point, think about the best way of phrasing whatever it is you have to say.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite memories when it comes to writing?
Definitely like as a kid stealing my dad's like Word document software. He still has like, I don't even know, under his email address, there's like hundreds of just these random notepad documents that I used to have. And, now I'm like, I cringe a little bit when I read it, but I do love seeing like the passion that I had for it when I was a kid, and, being like, I'm proud of myself for being able to put the embarrassing things and the stupid stuff onto the page, rather than just kind of like be embarrassed about it and maybe not write in the first place.
Mm-hmm. So if you could give a piece of advice to any aspiring writer, what would you tell them?
I think it's important to just go for it and just, do it, not because it's good or not because it needs to be good, but because you like doing it. Like that should be enough. You never like, and especially with writing, you're never going to get better at it if you don't face the fact that like a lot of what you write is going to be like just straight up trash. Like it's so important to just put yourself out there and not like expect Hamlet to pop out onto the page the first time that you put a pencil down.